Hello, my name is Tittle13 King, or Michael Stahl, and welcome to my first tutorial video for KSP. Today we will be going into how to build a simple, the simplest rocket, and one that will get into orbit, nothing fancy. But for any of you who are having trouble getting out of the atmosphere, here is a video for you. So we'll start off with a command pod Mark 1. I'll also walk you through why we use each part. So the command pod is the core of each rocket. It houses the Kerbal and is the center of control. This is where all control will come from, so this is very important. Also note, if I were to add another part, this is the central piece, so if you delete this, the whole craft kind of gets reset. Well, you know. Okay, so nextly, we want a way of safely landing the craft. So we will put on a parachute. Now, we want a parachute because that takes no fuel to use, and it's lightweight, simple on the top. Note here in the right is the staging. I will sort that out as well. So, because we don't want to be parachuting a whole rocket down, a whole rocket, no fuel left, to the ground, we want a way of detaching the command pod from the rest of it, and for that we will use a stack decoupler. What these do is, they have explosive bolts inside, which separate the bottom from the top stage. And you see the arrow there means that the top piece will be separated. Okay, so next up, we want an SAS module. Now this is slightly fancy, but I think any beginner in KSP should learn to be friends with an SAS. These are very useful in KSP because they keep your craft stabilized and prevent it from spinning out of control and exploding. I'm sure anyone beginning in KSP, including me, has got very used to explosions when I was first playing KSP, of course. Okay, next up we want a stage in the orbiter. Notice that the style of KSP is to build things from the top down, and so what we want to be building now is the stage that will be in space. Basically, this is what's going to get us into an orbit and out of an orbit before we parachute down. So we're going to use a fuel tank with 180 fuel. You don't need much fuel for a simple orbiter. This is going to be plenty for getting us into orbit, finalizing orbit, and getting us back down. Nextly, we want to be using a small engine, not too big, so we'll use the LV909 liquid fuel engine. It only has 50 thrusts, but it's fairly efficient, and we don't need much thrust since this is such a small rocket. So again, put this on, we're going top down, so we want to put this underneath the fuel tank. Nextly, because we want to separate an even bigger stage now, we are going to put another decoupler down here, like so. And this means that when we get in orbit, we can actually fire the engine without firing into the ship that will be below us. Now, the launch stage is going to have to be a little bit more hefty. So we're going to use a 360 fuel tank. This is the largest 1 meter tank that you can get. And so we put that down there. And this, so underneath this, sorry, brain fart. Underneath this, we'll be putting an LV-T30 engine. Now, you can tell a lot bigger. If I can grab it, it's quite a bit bigger than our other engine. And that's because, notice how much more mass this one will be carrying. This isn't it though, as this will not get us quite the way into orbit, if that made any sense. So what we want to do is go to the second page again, get another one of these, and another one of these, and a new part, also known, it's the radial decoupler. Now this is very handy because it allows you to add on engines to the side of the rocket instead of below. Just if we do that, the rocket is going to be more stable, and it'll take up a lot less height, and so it'll be easier to turn and everything like that. So what you want to do is, there are two ways of doing this, but you can either put one on the side here and put another one on the side there, but that's not very precise. And so what we want to do is press symmetry mode to 2. Another way of doing that is by pressing X, and you can see you get a whole range of symmetries up to 8. And so we want to press that once, and that'll take us to 2 symmetry. And from there, just anywhere where it's on the black section there. Well, we only need 2. That's all that will be required to get into orbit. If we stay on symmetry, and then place these like that onto the radial decouplers, and these underneath the tanks, we have a fairly good lifting stage. However, we want a little bit of stability when we are launching, and so we're going to add on some winglets. Now, you do not need these, but they are quite handy, as they keep you pretty much level when you're flying with no need for so much SAS or steering. So, that nearly done. We just want to add in a few more things. Aerodynamic nose cones, so people don't get mad on me at YouTube. And a slightly more complex part. I decided to add this in because you really want to get used to using these. They are your best friend when it comes to advanced rocketry, which I'll be posting a video on later. These are called fuel lines, and they pump fuel from the tank they start in to the tank that they go in, the second tank that you click. This prevents, what this does is, makes the rocket more efficient by pumping more fuel into the middle tank, which will be here longer than the outside tanks. And that means that these two engines will run out of fuel and completely refill this tank, and it just prolongs the use, as you'll be getting more fuel with less mass as these are gone. And so, as long as you start on the outside tank and finish with the second click on the inside tank, it will pump. You can notice the arrows, they are facing the inside. They will pump into the middle tank. So, just for neatness, I always do this. You don't need to do this. Place this on the ground. And there you go. There is a simple rocket capable of getting into orbit. Join me next time. I'll make a playlist of these. Join me next time where I fly the craft into orbit and show you a little bit about some tricks about, well, not so much tricks, just tips about getting into orbit. I've been Michael Stoll, or Turtle King. And as always, remember to tell one person that you know doesn't watch my channel to check it out. Okay, that's as much time as we have for this time. Time. See you guys next time. Bye.